Good evening, welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Jack D. In the news this week, in the light of fresh evidence, regulators are called in to investigate the winners of Switzerland's version of Strictly. Outside an office in Brussels, one EU delegate gets round the rules that say you're not allowed to smoke within 5 metres of the building. A power cut at the BBC studios leads to a disappointing first round of MasterChef. Footage from David Dimbleby's iPhone reveals the exact moment he resolved never to host Question Time in Glasgow again. And while she's away at an EU summit, a helpful neighbour attempts to keep Angela Merkel's cat amused. On Ian's team tonight is a comedian who gave his stand-up show the name Lawnmower. It got great reviews and he's kept all the clippings. Please welcome James Acaster. And with Paul tonight is probably Britain's best-known rambler, but what a lot of people don't know is that she also likes to go on long walks. Please welcome Janet Street Porter. And we start with the bigger stories of the week. Ian and James, take a look at this.
That's the vote. Blatter, he's won.
Oh, police are here.
Yeah, it's a victory dance.
Landing in.
We've got the money. The money. There he is. He's about to trip over a huge bung.
Fell off his wallet.
Well, this is the big news. There was an election. He won, saying he needed a 5th term. And then he decided 4 days was enough. And it was time to go again.
This is the news that Sepp Blatter has been forced to resign by Gary Lineker, obviously. It's a bit of a U-turn from Sepp, as he said. He went from I am president of everybody last Friday to saying on Tuesday, I do not feel I have a mandate from the entire world. In spite of his resignation, Sepp Blatter will stay in his job for at least 6 months. To be fair, he has got a lot of documents to shred.
I don't think he'll ever go. He's got that kind of evil in him. But he'll never get rid of him. He's like Rasputin or Clarkson.
And David Cameron welcomed Blatter's resignation almost as warmly as he welcomed him to Downing Street in 2010. Mr. President, you have done a huge amount for football during your whole life. The decisions you have made have been instrumental in taking the game to new heights, said the die-hard supporter of Aston Ham.
Chuck Blazer, the man that turned grass at the start of all this, made so much money, and I'm not saying how he got it or what he did to get it.
There was talk of him being used as an indoor arena at one of the games.
That he had 2 apartments in the Trump Towers and one was for his dogs. Now, who's looking after those dogs?
Cats and a parrot.
Cats and a parrot?
Cats and a parrot.
You followed this very closely.
Yeah.
I'm just interested in cats and parrots.
Right, so his cats and parrots, who's looking after them now?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I think the parrot is nominally in charge because he can order takeaways and things like that.
Chuck Blazer has given evidence, and now Jack Warner has said he's going to turn Supergrass as well. So, you know, I think they arrested them and they said, well, we're going to pull everyone down with us.
Yeah, Interpol have put out a formal arrest warrant for former FIFA Vice President Jack Warner. But did you hear how he defended himself to journalists recently? He said, if I have been thieving FIFA money for 30 years, who gave me the money? How come he's not charged? Good point, good point. So you can leave without a stain to your character. What does Jack Warner have at his disposal in all this? No? In an interview, he claimed that he feared for his life because he had documents which linked FIFA officials, including Blatter, to the 2010 political election in Trinidad and Tobago, and he also promised an avalanche of revelations was on its way before apologising for not disclosing my knowledge of these events before. Also, former head of the Brazilian FA, Jose Maria Marin, was arrested last week when confronted with allegations of bribery, money laundering and embezzlement. He told journalists, I don't care about that, fuck you lot, I can do what I want to the press. What was his most blatant bit of thievery, bearing in mind not a lot of sport expertise around the table here tonight, is there?
Yeah.
At the final of the Sao Paulo Youth Football Cup in 2012. Instead of giving a medal to one of the young players, Marin can be seen slipping it into his trouser pocket. We can have a look at this. Here we are.
There we go. You can see he's going for it. There he is. He's got it. 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 And oh, look at that! Look, all blown.
Giant arrows appeared.
Yeah. When that giant arrow appears, there is always trouble.
His spokesman defended him to journalists, saying, "Oh, there's always spare medals. Do you want one?" Parts of Britain feel proud of its involvement in the downfall of Sepp Blatter.
Well, we might get the World Cup.
That might be something that happens.
I say we, in the sense I don't really care. But it's quite important, apparently. If Russia don't get it, they've got to find someone who's already built the stadiums without killing half the population of the third world. And we got those. Yeah. And you can play football here in the summer.
And it gives Prince William a job to do instead of changing nappies.
He can do playing football. Would he be just promoting it? As you,
well,
yeah.
He's just a spokesperson at the moment.
Yeah, he is.
Be a mascot.
He'd be a mascot.
Put him in a nice... What, a lion? Is that England?
Yes, a lion would be, I suppose.
A lion with, like, what, horse legs?
If that's what you want, James.
I watch football, but that sounds good.
I think what I was really getting at is why Britain should feel proud of their involvement is that 3 of our banks handled the alleged corrupt payments. HSBC, Standard Chartered and Barclays. Lots of the money was hidden away in British offshore tax havens as well.
God, how embarrassing for FIFA to be involved with British banks.
Yes. You can't have a World Cup story without Pele. He said, "The corruption is not my problem." Just that, mate. FIFA made $2.35 billion from the South Africa World Cup, while South Africa were $4.9 billion out of pocket. So why does everyone want to stage the World Cup if it costs them that much? What's going on?
If you have a house party, like if you're the one hosting the house party, you have the worst time out of anyone. Your house gets destroyed, people break stuff and puke everywhere, and you get in trouble by your parents the next day. But everyone thinks you're cool.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much why people want to host the World Cup. So at the UN, everyone else is going, that guy.
Yeah. And in fairness, it was a great party, James. I'm sorry the damage was done, but, you know...
I like the idea that everyone's complaining about historic World Cups, but there's nobody going public saying, I don't think Russia should have it. Do you think that's for any particular reason? Death by polonium? Not being an option you really want?
What's polonium?
Polonium, he was a Bond villain.
Personally, I think Qatar should keep the World Cup. And I think the Russian World Cup should be moved to Qatar.
So they'd have 2?
Then, yeah, World Cups don't usually have sequels. I think it'd be fun.
There'll be a new presidential election in December. Who do you think will get that, Ian? Who do you fancy?
Probably Ed Miliband.
Janet, who do you think should take over? There's your mate, Greg Dyke.
Yeah, I saw him last night, and obviously he's shaping himself up for the job.
Is he?
Well, I would say so. He's a very ambitious man.
He could do to FIFA what he did to LWT, couldn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah, sack loads of people and trouser the profit when it gets sold off. Do you remember the case of Greg Dyke and the expensive watch gift in Brazil, 2014? Anyone remember that?
Yes, he accepted the watch without realising how much it was worth, and was it worth £16,000?
Spot on. It was a Parmigiani watch.
That sounds like cheese.
It doesn't it? Those cheese watches are notoriously expensive these days.
Well, they are Swiss-made, though.
When he found out how much it was worth, he said he would sell it off and give the money to charity. Most of the tiny countries and principalities in the world have FIFA membership, as you know, and a vote. But should we play a quick game of Name Me a Sovereign State Without a FIFA Vote? Anyone know any of those? Yeah, yes?
Liechtenstein.
No, they're fine, they're fine. They're in the clear. Yes, yes, James.
Legoland.
James, this is too difficult for you. Kiribati,
yes.
Nauru, Tuvalu, Palau. These aren't the players, by the way, they're countries. The Vatican, of course.
So not so powerful, then.
No. This is the end of Sepp Blatter, thanks to the FBI. Finally, a US intervention we can all get behind. Though, if history's taught us anything, it'll all go belly up, and the 2026 World Cup will be hosted by Islamic State. Meanwhile, this weekend, the Women's World Cup kicks off in Canada, despite question marks over the bidding process, with countries around the world accused of paying millions of dollars in bribes to make Canada have to do it. OK, Paul and Janet, take a look at this.
OK. Oh, talented dogs. There's one being shot by an air rifle. This is before the invention of women. You had to dance with a dog. Britain's Got Talent, just to help us out there. This is about the dog that won and wowed the contest, but was actually 2 dogs. And they didn't know about this at the time.
They had a stunt double.
Stunt double.
And they look exactly the same, so
Do
they
they?
fool millions of viewers.
Well, but if one was a poodle and one was a Labrador, it would kind of sort of...
Wasn't it funny that the dog that won,
Yeah.
the stunt dog, had to stand in for the real dog, Matisse, because we're told that Matisse is frightened of heights.
That was it, yes.
Well, that's the act, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have we got footage of it?
Yes, in case people
Oh,
haven't seen it, Matisse can hold things in his mouth. He's all have.
Has he been kettled?
All very spectacular stuff, I'm sure you'll agree. And then he's been arrested, he's been thrown in jail. This now comes the difficult bit, the tightrope walk. Matisse disappears through the door and then reappears as another dog entirely.
Who looks absolutely terrified.
Yeah, there it is.
That one.
That...
What was anybody else doing? Watching coffin lids walk? I mean, what was that?
But she's still keeping the money, isn't she?
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, she's got
yeah,
2 dogs to feed, hasn't she?
A dog's won it before, hasn't it?
Yeah.
A dog has won it before, yeah.
Yeah, they're checking up who's voting. A lot of these votes are coming from Battersea Dogs Home.
Are you allowed to vote often?
You address that at me as if I vote.
Oh, well, no, I'm just generally throwing out. Is it like Tower Hamlets? You can just, keep voting.
What does Simon Cowell say about this?
As you know, Simon Cowell owns the production company
Yeah.
that made it. He stepped up to the plate, taken full responsibility. He said, my team's to blame. What made the scandal even more confusing than it should have been?
Why call a dog Matisse anyway? Can I just be a bit picky about this? Isn't Matisse the name of an internationally famous artist?
Well, you say Matisse was a great artist. Actually, somebody else did the painting for him. It's one of the human acts allowed to say, I'd like to play the guitar, but as I'm not very good at it, my friend's going to do it.
That's kind of been Ant and Dec's thing for ages, though.
Oh, yeah.
What made it worse was there was a third dog introduced to it at the end, Skippy, the 3-legged collie.
Yeah, he lost a leg falling off the bloody ladder up there.
Ignore the sausages.
Maybe the sausages are made out of his missing leg.
Yeah.
So what have you done? What have you done? We don't know whether Skippy was called Skippy in the first place, or whether that, whether it was lucky, or they changed Skippy's name to that. Sometimes it just serendipity.
How about tripod?
Did the Britain's Got Talent
Yes.
fans take it in their stride?
I should think they'd be extremely annoyed because they were asked to vote for an act that turned out to be duplicitous.
It's nice to finally see the viewers of Britain's Got Talent offended by its output.
One of the fans tweeted, Matisse never tightrope walked. It was another dog. My life will never be the same again.
The idea that the highlight of your whole bloody week is sitting at home punching numbers for a 3-legged dog.
Listen, it's how I like to spend the evening, right? So, yeah, she got 250,000 for winning, and she gets to perform at the Royal Variety Show in front of the Queen.
Yeah.
Actually, she would have done if the Queen hadn't died on Wednesday. Sadly. You see that tweet?
Yes. Apparently someone got overexcited. A woman who works on the BBC Urdu service.
Yes.
She saw a rehearsal for what you would do when the Queen's died.
Yeah.
And then thought it was the
This
real
happens
thing.
every time. This happens every time. This happened the last time they
Queen
had
Mother,
practice.
didn't it?
We had
Happened
the
with
Queen
Queen
Mother.
Mother.
Somebody else did the same thing.
Wasn't it also at the time the Queen was having her annual checkup in hospital, so she was in hospital?
Right.
Yes, but not
so-
dead.
No,
Yeah.
she was having that kind
Very
of...
rare in a British hospital, but you can go in and not die.
So let's finish our discussion by staring at a picture that emerged this week of a pizza on a dog. Yeah, this is the extraordinary news that some of Britain's Got Talent is contrived. Speaking as a parent, I think it's terrible to suggest that anyone would replace a treasured pet with one that looks roughly the same, even if it was an accident when I was reversing out of the drive. Simon Cowell admitted that the whole incident was a massive cock-up, at which point David Williams added his thoughts. Woo! Also, this week, scientists are suggesting that chimpanzees have the mental capabilities needed to cook food, leading them to prepare such things as baked potatoes. And that's where the culinary expression... So to round 2, the picture spin quiz. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Isn't it the first cabinet meeting?
Pay rise.
Yes, David Cameron doesn't want them to take it.
It's exactly that. Several have criticised the raise, including Labour MP John Mann, who said this decision needs stopping. Even David Cameron has weighed into the debate, describing the extra money as simply unacceptable. Correct. So it is going to go ahead. IPSA have defended their decision to award MPs a rise, saying it won't cost the taxpayer a penny more. No, it's about millions more, I'd imagine. I mean,
That's not my issue with it, is that it's going to cost me more. I don't want them to get pay rises because I don't like politicians. I don't want them to be happy. Same as I don't want them to listen to good music or falling in love.
you want them just to suffer?
Yeah.
What have they done to you?
I'm not mature enough to have a fully rounded opinion. That's all I've decided so far.
I think the vote should probably go up to about 35.
So, obviously, Cameron
But
could...
he keeps asking for an independent review, and then he gets it.
Yeah.
And Cameron just, on his first issue in the new government, he can't make his mind up. So he doesn't know he stands on this, and then we do the Human Rights Act, then we do Europe. I mean, he's going to be really confused. End of next week, he's going to go, oh, why did I take this job?
Ian, how is David Cameron's ex-press secretary getting on?
Andy Coulson, he was cleared of perjury, but not lying. He did do the lying. That is true. But technically, you see, if you lie and it's not, important to the case, it's not perjury, but it is lying.
Yeah.
Which is what Andy Coulson did. But, he did lie.
This week, this morning, managed to secure an interview with the Prime Minister. Do you know what they discussed?
Sam Cam's beach body.
Yeah, he did.
How did he feel about Sam Cam's body, and what about his own fitness regime?
And what did he say?
My wife is fit and then he high-five Eamon Holmes.
Said he was not beach body ready, because I'm a bit greedier than my wife. She's very disciplined. But that'd be rude. You don't want a Prime Minister who's a picky eater, do you? So,
Anyway, those bodies are in now.
Which bodies?
Dad bod. Dad bod is the new trendy man shape. It's all
thank
right
God
to
for
be a
that.
bit...
The pictures of Samantha Cameron taken by paparazzi on the beach.
I wouldn't say those pictures are taken by paparazzi. They're taken by members of the public on their phones.
Well, they're the same thing. They're paparazzi then. Blame them.
Now, we just track each other on our phones. We know where we are all the time.
let's invent a new word here and now. It's called peopleazzi.
Peopleazzi.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
I like that. Oh, good. Let's start using that, everyone. Yeah.
Peopleazzi.
Peopleazzi.
Right.
Photos of each other.
Oh, we've all said it.
Yeah.
And it hasn't caught on.
On the subject of holidays, though,
Yes.
There was a cover to one of the all-time classic holiday novels. It's been altered. In what way? Do you know?
That's Jilly Cooper's Riders.
Indeed, yeah,
The
absolutely.
hand's been moved.
Why? Do you know?
Well, in the original version, the man's hand was millimetres from her... Well, I can't say it.
Well, there's the picture we can see now.
Yeah.
One commentator pointed out that the hand in the original cover was so intimately positioned around the right buttock of the female's posterior that he would probably feel it if she were to break wings. Yeah. I don't know, lovely romantic thought that is.
But in the modern politically correct one, his hand has gone up there.
And his hand has become very, very small.
Either that or her arse has got bigger.
This is the heartwarming news that MPs are to get a 10% pay rise. One Tory MP dismissed the suggestion that voters might prefer it if they rejected the pay rise, saying that turning it down would be gesture politics, whereas taking the £7,000 is simply a gesture. Also, this week, Ed Miliband was back in the House of Commons after his break in Ibiza. Whilst he was out there, he joined a phone party and led them to a crushing electoral defeat. Meanwhile, according to the Sunday Times, plans for Tony Blair to speak at a conference on world hunger fell through due to his demand for a £250,000 fee plus £80,000 expenses, which does raise a couple of points. One, what sort of hypocrite charges that sort of money to speak about world hunger? And two, if you are looking for a replacement, I could do it for, say, half that fee. Although, to be fair, those expenses do sound about right. Things on buzzers teams. Here we go.
Is it next year's winner of Britain's Got Talent? I can only see one pig, though. The other one's probably driving.
A pig was causing trouble and the police had to get involved. That's all I remember.
think that's...
You know, but I could be lying and just piecing that together from the photo.
So the pig has clearly been arrested. The pig was arrested for trespass.
Yeah, the pig's called Daisy. Was arrested in the US this week.
It was lucky she wasn't shot.
Yeah. Well, obviously it's a white pig, so...
Oh, right.
Yeah. No, Daisy's crime was that she had wandered into a neighbour's garden and chased her around the lawn while she was gardening, and the neighbour was apparently so terrified of Daisy that she called the police. And the officers caught the offender after she got distracted by a lawn ornament.
Is that a euphemism for gnome?
Could well be. I don't know if they have gnomes in America, do they?
I don't know.
Apart from George Bush, do they? Daisy was put in the back of a police car to keep her out of trouble, but then what did she do?
She made the car unfit for human habitation.
It's very delicately put, and you're right.
Yes.
Yes, she did. She defecated in the back of the police car and didn't seem that bothered.
No.
Just attitude written all over her face.
Look at that big space.
Yeah,
It's
God.
probably like we've been killing and eating our ancestors for years. She's looking out the window going, 1-1.
God. Meanwhile, what's this hedgehog in Holland been up to?
Mistaken for a lawn ornament to distract a pig.
He got drunk. He got drunk.
Yeah.
And according to the Mirror, he was found collapsed in the gutter next to a broken bottle of Avocar. It's the first recorded instance of Warnings, Holland's leading egg-based liqueur, being drunk by a hedgehog, or by anyone.
I'd have loved to have seen that hedgehog buying that. Going into the offer, avocado, please. Standing on the top of 20 other hedgehogs in a long coat. That's my idea at home.
We don't live that old. How does a hedgehog let you know that it's hungover?
Doesn't turn up for work.
According to rescuer Oswin Gershons, if you try to touch him, he makes a little noise like, "Oh, get off me!" Well, fellow, he's
Yeah.
lucky.
Shame.
He's lucky to be alive. I mean, they're bad enough at crossing a road when they're sober. This is the rowdy pig who was arrested in America and defecated all over the back of a police car. According to the Mirror, the pig left them an unwanted gift by emptying its bowels all over the back seat. And then, to make matters worse, it went wee, 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 wee all the way home. Oh, well. Yeah. Now it's time for the odd one out round.
Yeah.
Ian and James, your four are Colin Burns and his Rubik's Cube, Simon Plant and 6 men dressed as pirates, Tony Sutton and his tiny egg, and Alistair Moffat and Fiat 500.
It's a quickest Rubik Cube, smallest egg,
Anyone know?
largest number of pilots,
Yeah.
and
So,
Maybe he tried to break a record and didn't, the guy in the bottom right.
bottom right. No, I'm afraid you haven't got it right.
Well, obviously it is records, isn't it?
Yeah.
But without knowing what any of the records were, I suspect that's not the smallest egg in the world, so he's the odd one out. He's been duped.
Yeah, no, Paul is right. We're going to...
What about?
So many things. We had 15-year-old Colin Burns of Doylestown, Pennsylvania, smash the Rubik's Cube. Okay.
So was my reaction not
You want
authentic?
that answer as well? You want that in? You want that ready?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll do one more time.
Do one more time,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
I look as if I'm prepared.
Looks like we're going to have to. I haven't even had a chance to do it wrong. Yeah, no, Paul, you're right.
Really?
You're right. They've
Edit
all,
that.
they've all broken a world record, apart from Tony Sutton,
Yeah.
who dropped what he thought was the world's smallest egg before it could be verified. 15-year-old Colin Burns of Doylestown, Pennsylvania, smashed the Rubik's Cube world record, completing it in 5.25 seconds. Who wants to see him doing that?
yeah.
It doesn't take long, only 5.25 seconds.
See, that's a proper sport.
also the world record for world's highest scream in there, I believe.
So-
Or Maniac in the background.
So, yeah, Colin now holds the record for the quickest single completion time. Does anyone know some of the other categories for Rubik's Cube world records that they have?
There's a dog category, isn't there?
It's not what I'm after, but there should be. You can do blindfolded, that's one category, you can
Yeah.
get there. You can do it one-handed, and also the fastest using your feet.
The blindfold one confuses me as a
Yeah,
category.
How do you do it?
How would you know you've done it?
Well, yes. You just keep going and everybody leaves.
How is 18-year-old Adrian Lewis hoping to lick her way into the record books? Did you know about
It's
that?
ice creams.
Not ice creams.
licking
no,
ice creams.
no.
Stamps.
Not stamps.
Stamps?
It's courtesy of her 4-inch tongue, which
Where's she sitting?
would make it... It verified it would make it the longest tongue in the world. We have some footage of it. You don't want to see it, though, do you?
Yeah, go on then, let's have a look at it.
Let's say, here it is. There.
What do you do once you've got that record?
No, the very same question was put to her once she'd had the tongue length verified, and she was asked how she felt about it, and she said, Yes, they have all recently broken a world record, apart from Tony Sutton, who dropped what he thought was the world's smallest egg before it could be verified. In 2011, Ed Miliband was asked if he had any secret talents. He said, I can do a Rubik's Cube in 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's nothing. You can dismantle an entire political party in just 5 years. Paul and Janet, here are yours.
Yeah.
Julie Andrews, Frank Ifield,
Yeah.
Roman Emperor Julian, and Sepp Blatter.
Right. Roman Emperor Julian I know nothing about. Frank Ifield had a couple of hits in the early 60s. He was a yodeler, wasn't he? I remember you. Yodeling. Well, of course, he yodeled, and so she must yodel.
And he's from a Swiss.
He's from a
Settler.
Swiss thing, and Emperor Julian didn't like yodeling. If anyone yodels around here, they'll have me to speak to.
You're actually spot on there.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Wasn't Sepp Blatter, before he was the president of FIFA, was actually a singer at some point in his early life, wasn't
Oh, he was a
he?
yodeler, was he?
He was not just a singer. He was
was a yodeler.
The answer is that they are all able to yodel, apart from Roman Emperor Julian, who complained about yodeling in the 4th century.
Yeah.
He didn't like it. Among Sepp Blatter's many former occupations was a stint as a wedding singer performing goat herd ballads.
Are there any recordings of Blatter?
Blatter yodeling, I wish there were. It'd be,
I'm
just
sure
a-
they'll surface
It'd just
over
be-
the coming week.
Yes, as the Americans interview him.
Where's the money?
And Julie Andrews famously yodels in the song The Lonely Goat Herd in The Sound of Music. Frank Ifield was, of course, one of Britain's most famous yodelers, who had a breakthrough hit with She Taught Me to Yodel. And here he is.
That's written in the 1960s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll not get us yodeling here, I'll tell you that much now.
Frank Ifield yodeling that. Very few people can do that, of course.
Yeah.
Thank God. And Roman Emperor Julian
Yeah.
is believed to have complained about yodelers in the 4th century. He said, according to The Guardian, I didn't know he gave an interview to The Guardian, it's an older paper than I had thought, but he said he didn't like the wild shrieking songs by the northern mountain hordes. That's what he said. And yodeling is frowned upon in Russia, as it should be throughout the world, really. But it's here's Russia's Edvard Kill, otherwise known as the Trololo Man, in 1976, pushing back the boundaries. Here he is. Fantastic stuff. They are all able to yodel, apart from Roman Emperor Julian, who complained about yodeling in the 4th century. According to the Daily Mirror, every year Sepp Blatter returns to his alpine hometown of Visp, and his first move is always to visit the grave of his mother, just to make sure she's still spinning in it. Yodeling isn't the only thing Julie Andrews has in common with Sepp Blatter, as brown paper packages tied up with string are also a few of his favourite things. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Picture Postcard Monthly. And we start with man with the name What, ironically arrested for what?
Man with the name Rex, ironically arrested for dogging.
Not that. No, not that.
Man with the name Speed, ironically arrested for loitering.
Not that either.
Not that either.
I'll give you a clue. It's Bacon is the first one. The man with the name Bacon.
For streaking.
Ironically arrested
Speaking would
for...
have been excellent, wouldn't it? That's very good. It's actually...
Is it impersonating William Shakespeare?
Stealing a pig.
Not stealing a pig.
Kissing a pig.
No.
Getting a pig into trouble.
Now I'm going to give you the answer to stop you doing that.
Okay, then.
Man with the name Bacon, ironically arrested for fighting over sausage. This was Thomas Bacon, who was arrested in New Jersey this week for getting into a fight with another man over the last piece of breakfast sausage. It's not unknown in this country for people to fight over breakfast, but to be fair, Wetherspoons serves booze from 7 a.m. Next up, found in Whitby, Alan the oldest what?
Postcard collector. Tortoise. Emu. Pygmy.
Is it? It's a dinosaur.
You're right,
Alan.
Alan. You're right.
Wasn't it found in the cliffs or something, in the crumbling cliffs or what?
Alan, the oldest dinosaur in Britain. According to one professor, Yorkshire's rocks give a rare insight into what was happening 175 million years ago, as does the rest of Yorkshire. Next, Kim Jong-un shows off what in photographs?
His beach bod.
No.
Oh, I know, it's his new hairstyle.
No, you're close. No.
Beard and moustache, facial hat.
Trilby hat, he had a hat, yes. Kim Jong-un shows off hat in photographs. This week, Kim Jong-un has been photographed in destinations all over North Korea in a new Trilby hat. Here he is. He wants to promote North Korea as a holiday destination. So why not take your family out there and see the places where he took his family out? Next, woman caught selling off husband's what after divorce?
Children.
It's their grave.
It was their grave, you're right. This is a woman in Sutton who was caught forging her ex-husband's signature to sell off his half of a joint grave. And when the husband heard what had happened, he totally lost the plot. Next, scientists discover budgies what, just like humans?
It's to do with yawning, isn't it?
It is, Janet Blythe.
They yawn.
Yeah.
We yawn,
Yeah.
they yawn.
Yeah.
Actually, I grew up with a
You
bloody budgie. No wonder I'm weird. My mother was Welsh. My auntie was Welsh. Now I'll get to it in a minute.
What nationality was the budgie?
Welsh.
Welsh.
I am the only person who grew up in Fulham, down the road from your
Down the road from-
family.
down the road from my family.
Yeah, down the road from you.
Yeah.
And I had the Welsh half of the house.
Yeah.
Mum, Auntie Vi and a budgie, all talking Welsh.
Yeah.
So in your early life, you found it impossible to get a word in?
Very good, Ian.
Scientists discover budgies have yawns that are contagious. If you've got a budgie at home and it seems to be yawning a lot, here's one little tip to keep it awake. Get a cat. Finally, one man's quest to what kept Plymouth Club members enthralled at their May meeting?
One man's quest to keep Plymouth Club members enthralled kept Plymouth Club members enthralled at their meeting.
Not that.
No, it should have been, though.
Yeah, it should have been, yeah. It's one man's quest to restore a succession of old and neglected horse-drawn carriages depicted on postcards kept Plymouth Club members enthralled at their May meeting. Themed collections are popular in the postcard world. I, for example, have an extensive collection of postcards taken over the years from phone boxes based around the theme of East European sex workers. So the final scores now are Ian and James have 5 and Janet and Paul have 10.
No.
Of course, the scores have always been hotly contested on this show. Here's a friend of the show who always had the right attitude, even when he hadn't won.
Could I just point out, however, though, that I don't think the scoreline tells the whole story. There is a distinct shift, a swing that we're finding towards the end of the campaign. I'm sure these headline figures are concealing what's really going on at this
You're right. It's the sort of position we'd like to have been in at this stage,
That's
isn't
right,
it?
I mean, it's a firm base on which to build for the future.
Yes,
yes, absolutely.
Second.
We'd have been very...
Do you think all bankers should be locked up, Charles?
It's a bit stupid for David Cameron to suggest this. I mean, he hasn't got anywhere to put them for a start, and probably most of them were voting Tory in the first place, weren't they, Jeremy?
I don't know, I can't understand Scottish when it's like that. Cons, most of them were what? Voting
Tory.
Tory. No, don't understand.
Don't worry, Jeremy. Most people watching this in Scotland can't understand voting Tory either.
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition. Ian and James have this.
FIFA finds new president. In the background there. What's happening to him in the background, Jack? Look at that guy.
What, is he having a photograph taken?
No, he's being
People
boxed.
Ratsy.
People at sea.
People Ratsy in the background.
Yeah, people at sea. Yeah. And,
Getting peaked.
yeah.
He is getting peaked
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah. Are you taking the piss now?
Yep.
Paul and Janet, you get this one.
The other dog was called Matisse. This one's called Picasso.
And I leave you with news that after rowing for thousands of miles to escape his war-torn homeland, a refugee is told he's landed on a beach in Sunderland. After a disappointing session and with just over a year to go until the Olympics, the Malaysian sprint relay team hold crisis talks with their trainer about what's going wrong. After keeping Nigel Farage captive for an entire week, Douglas Carswell grants him a rare treat. There are concerns that product placement could ruin the new Star Wars film as the production company sign an exclusive deal with Timothée. And after a BBC journalist tweets the news that the Queen has died, not everyone realises it's a mistake. Good night.